Hey there, Dion Johnson here. And this morning I was thinking about a game we used to play in primary school. I don't know if you used to play it too. It's called What's the Time, Mr. Wolf. It was a kind of a chase game, you know. There was one guy who was designated it. He had to be Mr. Wolf. And then the rest of us would be scattered around the playground and we would sing, What's the time, Mr. Wolf? And he'd say, 1 o'clock. And then we say again, what's the time, Mr. Wolf? And he'd say 2 o'clock. And we'd have to dance while we were singing this song. And then if we said, what's the time, Mr. Wolf? And then he said lunchtime, that was our cue to get out of there, to run, to hide, to move fast, to respond, because Mr. Wolf was then looking for lunch and he would have to run and try and catch somebody to devour, metaphorically, of course, and playfully, of course, for his lunch. So that game came to mind this morning because I realized that to win that game, you really needed to be cognizant of the time and the timing and the times for Mr. Wolf. You had to work out when it was going to be lunchtime and therefore when you were going to have to move, when you were going to have to take a kind of step, when you were going to have to take action, move quickly, right? So it was all about the time and the timings. And I'm really thinking about time right now. I'm thinking about how we should, as women and leaders and change makers, be responding to the time and the season. You know, I've heard life and leadership, both of those things, described as, again, the game of life, the game of leadership. And I think in order to win that game, Mr. Wolf, in order to win this game of life, we need to be cognizant of what time it is. So today I want to talk about time, and there's no doubt about it in my mind that time is definitely moving differently now to when I was a child. I mean, when I was a child, didn't it take 2 years for Christmas to come? It just seemed like Christmas, from one Christmas to the other, was just a lifetime. It felt like a long, long time. But now even young people are saying, wow, Christmas already. You know, it just feels to me like I wake up one morning and then before I know it, it's time to go back to bed again. It's like the next morning again. The weeks are going by so fast. Time is definitely whizzing by very, very fast. So I think this really important thing for us to think about is this time issue, the time and the timing and the times that we're living in. And there are lots of different words. When I think about this word called time, I realize that there's a lot of different words that describe time, like chronos. Chronos is the word that means time, but it means like the units of time, like seconds and minutes and hours. It's like it's the word that's associated with watches and clocks. Chronos is where we get the word synchronicity from, or chronological order. It's talking about the units of time that tick by, right? So that's chronos. And then there's another word called kairos, and kairos is it means time, but it means the right opportunity, the right time, the moment, the right opportunity, the window of time. It alludes to a special time for something to happen, the right time for something to happen. It's like the opportunity, the window of opportunity, the door of opportunity, something that needs to happen within a certain time frame. Otherwise, it's not going to be able to, like, that time will pass. That time for this thing to happen will pass. So that's chronos. No, that's kairos. And then there's seasons. Seasons, we talk about seasons a lot. We talk about winter, spring, summer, and autumn, winter, spring, summer, and fall, depending on where you are in the world. And that is about a block of time that's characterized by a certain thing, like a weather pattern, or the length of sunlight in the day, or you know, just a time when something in particular is happening. It's characterized by something particular happening in a block of time. So that's seasons. And then there are other words like era, an important, outstanding period in history, or epoch, or eon, or age. All of these words are really alluding to time, and it's really talking about us giving us a way of understanding what the time is for us, what season we're in, what's happening, what's special about this time of being alive, this time of existence. And I think leadership is going through a season of transition right now. It's I like to say that you'd have to be living at the bottom of an ocean in a cave somewhere to not realize that something's really up in leadership in this post-pandemic recovery season, and this time of great technological and scientific advancement and globalization and opportunity. There are also this could also be described as a really intense time in leadership, a time of global tension, time of great uncertainty, maybe even a time of crisis in many respects. That there is definitely something shifting around the time and the season for leadership. Leadership used to look like a certain thing, look like a certain persona for so long, and now that's really being challenged, and now it's really being changed. The face of leadership is really shifting right before our very eyes. And so for me, if leadership is going through a transitional season, then it stands to reason that us as leaders might be going through some kind of shifting too. And so that's why I'm asking you today to consider, what time is it for you right now? What season are you in leadership? I think in order to be able to stay effective, stay relevant, stay ready, and stay able and in capacity to meet the demands of leadership today, we as leaders need to be understanding and cognizant of what time it is. So fill in the blanks. It's blank season. What kind of season is it for you? Fill in the blank. It's time for me to blank. What's it time for you? The timing is right for us as women to... What's coming up for you as you hear that sentence? Fill in the blank. These are blank times in my organization. These are blank times in my industry. These are times in my industry, in my field, in my home. What's coming up for you as I say these sentences? I'd love for you to give it some time. I'm noticing that more and more of us women, leaders and change makers, are waking up to this deep knowing that it's time for more. It's time for us to be more and do more and say more and experience more, create more, express more, live more fully. That we're waking up to this desire to be freer in our expression and our sense of purpose and mission. That it is time for us to step up and step into something. We're feeling that it is time for us to be more, do more. And if that's you, my message to you today is really simple. I want to encourage you not to ignore, not to turn a blind eye, not to neglect the season that you're sensing that you're either in or stepping into, like to not ignore it. I'm thinking, could it be that everything that you've been through, everything that you've accomplished so far, everything that you've won at and failed at, and everything that you've learned, everything that you've gone through, everything that's happened to you has happened for you at such a time as this, at such a season as this in your leadership? Could it be that it's your Kairos moment, that there's a window of opportunity for you to step into something that it's time for? Could it be that this is your season of elevation, your season of greater influence and impact and difference making, the kind of difference that only you can make? Could it be that there's no coincidence between The leadership season's shifting and you're shifting. Could it be that they're coming together for a really powerful purpose? Could it be that you are desiring more at this time and this season in your leadership because more is required, more is needed from you? I believe that it's perfect time. I believe that it's perfect time for you and the difference that only you can make. And I'd love for you to go back and visit those sentences again. I will write them in the box, in the comment box, or in wherever you get this email. And I'd love for you to spend some time this weekend just thinking about what time and what season it is for you. And if you care to share, I would love to be able to understand how you're taking this in, how this is landing for you, what time and what season it is for you. Hit reply and let me know. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.